Welcome in to another episode of All Things NBA. I'm Chris Persianen alongside Zach Noble as always, and we have a super special guest with us today, virtually, of course, to talk about these Phoenix Suns. So continuing our team preview series here ahead of the 2024 NBA season, we are honored to be joined by Duane Rankin of AZCentral over in Arizona. The Phoenix Suns, a big storyline team coming up this season. Duane, before we get into X's and O's, how was your offseason? How you been? How you doing?
I mean, the off season was a blur, but it's over, so no need to reflect on it. But I mean, it was, we made a lot of moves, obviously, and with Bradley being the biggest one, but then the latest one, Aiton, was pretty huge as well. So it's just keeping up, trying to figure it out, and now it's training camp, and they're not done because they still need to get the roster down to 15, so they got 17 guys, although one of them is hurt. And Damian Lee, so they still got to get it down to 15. So they still got work to do. But yeah, it's this is a big deal. I mean, you got three max contract guys, three All Stars, one superstar, top 75 player. Probably when they come out with the top 100 in that time, Booker will probably be on that team. And if Bradley can get a ring out of this or two, he might end up on it as well. So a lot of talent up top, but they filled it out with vet minimums, and to be able to do that with this squad and get the kind of player they got in return, this is a very interesting roster being coached by a guy that's defense or nothing. So offensive talent with a defensive minded coach. I'm curious to see this.
I
I'm very curious to see this.
love it, man.
I
No,
love it.
you sound like the intrigue is out there, and you're really in between. It sounds like. Am I reading that correctly? Not the way you would have built this team.
I question everything. So they
Love it.
could have built the perfect team. I'd be questioning that. But
I'm
no,
good. I'm
it
with
is
it.
not a matter of me questioning. It's a matter of I'm surprised they got what they got on the vet minimums. I mean, that to pull that off, that was impressive. So I'm not. What I'm questioning is how it's going to work. How are you going to get guys to commit on the defensive end like Vogel wants? When these guys are offensive players. Bradley Beal's never been known as a defensive guy. Booker, he'll compete on that end, but he hasn't been known as a defensive guy. Durant's good with help defense, but you got three dudes going to be playing major. I mean, they got to play major minutes for this team to win, which means they got to guard people. And so, Bradley Beal made the point the other day. He was like, "We're just wasting our time if we're not committing on the defensive end." Well, that's easy to say, training camp. What's going to happen when the season starts? And their whole MO is, they want to they're doing everything to get ready for the playoffs. They already then basically in their mind, they're like, we're in. And then this regular season thing is just let's just figure this out. Let's just get these guys ready, and then we want to be ready for the playoff. That's really, I mean, they're talking about that, and we're not even into the season yet. So that's where they're at. So if that's the case, then you're going to see a lot of experimentation. I think you're going to see different lineups. I think you'll see with that fifth guy. It looks like Okogie would be that guy if I had to. Although I think Keita Bates Diop should be the fifth starter, but Josh may end up being that because he can defend better than most guys they got on the team. He might be the best defensive player on the team. And you need somebody out there that's going to guard somebody that okay, go get him. And so that may lend to him being the starter. But no, I just want to see it play out. I don't. But again, I'm questioning everything. So again, they could have had the redeem team out there, and I would have said, why he out there? So don't mind me on that.
Love it. That is journalism. So absolutely
How I
love it.
live life. Question everything.
I want to talk, speaking of questions, I want to talk about media day, where players and coaches get asked lots of questions.
Right. Right.
What was your read from media day? And you touched on this seemingly a little bit with the playoff expectation bit. What was your read on there? I hate to say vibes, but what kind of feelings did you get from media day? What kind of team do you think this team wants to be? Do they think they're going to be able to win every game 140 to 120? Do they, what is the mindset here within the locker room for this season?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that with trading Aiden, it'll be a different locker room, because Aiden was very animated. Aiden was very he just had a way about him that it was like you knew he was in the room. And so I think you may see, and not that Aiden wasn't about business, but I think you'll see more of a business-like approach with the team. I think fit, that was the key word the whole night, the whole day. Fit, fit, fit. Nurkic is a better fit. Nurkic passes the ball. Nurkic doesn't necessarily need the ball. That kind of stuff. But as far as the team overall, I just think that they're talking. They're talking about defense again. I need to see it, but that's what they're talking about, and they're talking about versatility and having guys that can shoot threes, and they're going to be able to. It's going to be difficult to guard them because they got the three guys, and then if you got a guy that can hit threes off of those three, and how do you defend them? And Nurkic's ability to pass the ball, and so they're talking about the depth they have, and again, when I hate to even get on it, but it's like, I mean, there's probably every team is probably saying the same thing. They're all optimistic right now, but I mean, you got to see it play out. But as far as Bob, I think they're confident. I think they're not necessarily worried about what people are saying on the perimeter or on the outside, but that's easy to say now. The expectation is to win a championship. When your team owner comes out and says that he has the best team in the league, I mean, what man's paying? He's signing your
Written on the wall.
checks. I mean, he's signing your checks. I mean, so what are you going to do? You going to go out there and try to live up to that because he's signing your checks, or are you going to be like, well, all right, well, we'll see what happens. No, there's no see what happens. This is, you're over the second tax apron. You're spending all this money. You're not doing that to come up short again. You didn't fire your coach. You didn't trade your point guard. You didn't trade your big man. You didn't trade Mikal Bridges. You didn't trade Cam Johnson. You didn't do all of that. You just said, Jay Crowder, okay, you're not going to play for us. You helped us get to the finals. Helped us have the best record in the league this year after. Yeah, you're not playing. We're not even going there with you. Okay, we mutually agree you sit. You didn't do all of that. You didn't do none of all that stuff to not win a championship. Right. No, and so that's it. It's either win a championship or come back the next year with a year older Kevin Durant, who's 35 right now, and answering the same questions. They don't want to go through that again. Now they're like, okay, well, Durant, training camp, he's going to be good. Beal is healthy. Nurkic healthy. Everybody's ready to go. It's like, hey, we got the coach. We got a coach that about defense. Playoffs last year, they couldn't guard a cup of coffee. So they're like, yo, we got everything. We got a whole new staff. And the guy that we kept was the associate head coach who's going to probably be the offensive coordinator for this team. So, we got an owner that's spending major dollars. I mean, come on, man. All this is supposed to lead to a championship. It's not supposed to lead to getting bounced in the second round again. That could be the worst thing that could happen. They go through all these changes, and then mid-May, it's over. That can't happen.
Duane,
I mean, it could happen, but it can't happen under these conditions of what they've done.
I love it as an outsider, and I imagine in your shoes too, it's got to be a lot of fun. I mean, having that much talent and having those expectations. I personally want as many teams as possible to be gunning for a title. I mean, that's what we want as fans. We want parity. We want challengers, and we don't want the same people over and over. And that's what makes this game fun. But just getting done with the Clippers preview before this and talking about media day there, it's amazing the different mindsets. And it, to me, it was, I'm interpreting, and it's not just listening to you talk, it's how I'm hearing these guys speak too in their media day. It's like the Clippers are coming from a place of humility and a place that they know they've fallen short. They know it's a process and they got to just make it through the season and focus game by game. But what I'm getting from the Suns is like everything's given to them until it's not, until they get hit a wall in the, game 6 in the first round, and somebody, I don't know, it has to miss a game or two, or just running into just a little controversy, but a little challenge that they're not necessarily ready for. So what is that, breaking point for you come regular season? How do you see this playing out? Like, do you think they're ready, that they got the right mindset going into this thing? Or do you think they're going to come off to a slow start and have to figure it out quicker in the regular season? Or do you think it's just going to be easy? Because a lot of times I personally think teams like this, the talent exceeds the fit in the regular season. Like, I'm all on board. I think Booker and Beal can handle the ball enough, and I like the pieces they've got on the outside and the defense. I think they can manage if they play everybody. It's the rotation in the minutes that I'm worried about in this team fitting. So where do you think is the first railroad, the challenge into this team here? Or are they just going to breeze through the regular season and then figure it out come playoff time and be an unfinished product and have to grow in the playoffs? Because that happens.
They're going to do the regular season just to figure out what they got to do for the playoffs. This is all, auditioning. It's all. Really, they're just going to just. They don't have to win 60 games. They don't have to be the top seed. They don't have to do that. They're just going to just try to look. Okay, how can we get Bradley Beal involved? How can we with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker? All of them are talking about, hey, look, they got to be aggressive, but then it's almost like you all can't be aggressive. You know what I mean? Like somebody's going to have to okay, let me read it better. Like, who reads who? Is this going to be an offense of, reads or plays? For me, it should be, because all of them preach intelligence. Like, okay, we're all, basketball heads. Durant, he knows the game. He's the plug and play guy. He can play any system, any style. Booker same way. Beal, so it's like he's supposed to be guys that are basketball minds because they pride themselves on that. Okay, well, how does that play in games? Okay, we're going to see a lot of reading the defense. Okay, I'm reading the same thing you're reading. I'll make a cut. I'm open. Is it going to be that? Or are they going to be actually running plays? Or is it going to be ISO? Is it going to be Kevin Durant standing in the corner? Or Beal standing in the corner? Like what? Who? Because basketball, it's become pick and roll. All right, swing it, on the perimeter. That's why they got in trouble in the playoffs last year. Josh Okogie sitting in the corner, missing threes. Damian Lee sitting in the corner, missing threes. So it's like, how do they make this work? What happens when all three of them are not playing? When all three of them are watching? Or are they going to have situations where at least one of them is going to be out there? Is Bogle going to go, hey, look, maybe the first quarter, let's just say, for example, first quarter, Booker and Beal play the whole first quarter and Kevin comes out with like 4 minutes left. Okay, Durant starts, this is hypothetical. Durant starts the second quarter, Booker and Beal are on the bench. All right, Durant maybe comes out mid-second when Booker and Beal come in. And then Durant finishes the last 5 minutes with those three out there. Like, what's the rotation with those three? Because that's going to determine what the rotation is for the rest of them. Because then you got to figure out who plays well with who. Does Keita play better with Beal? You know, does Eubanks, is he a better backup playing with Booker, or is it someone else? Like they got to figure all this out. They brought in all these guys, and it's so funny. Like they bring in the roster. I'm like, in like only 10 guys are probably gonna play. Some of these guys are gonna just be watching. Who's gonna be watching? Who are those? When are we gonna find out after about a month? And you're like, you know what? He's only played like 3 games. He's only played 5 games. Don't know if he's gonna ever be in the rotation, unless somebody gets hurt. And the other part of that is the 4 guys. This is counting Nurkic because Nurkic replaced Aiden, so I'm saying he's the 4th guy. He's been injury prone. So a lot of guys been hurt. So.
All besides Booker, absolutely.
Oh, wait a minute now. Booker's hamstring heaven now. He pulls it every year.
Hamstring heaven, oh man.
It's hamstring heaven now. I mean, he's had a hamstring issue for the last bit of these recent years of his career. It's been a hamstring problem. So, can the guy stay healthy? Is this Vogel's job to make sure that he's not taxing these guys? And Booker this year, now you ask him to be, quote, point guard? I mean, I just find it so interesting when I look at the roster. I'm like, they added these great players, and Booker's still doing more and more. Like now you asking him to create. Okay, get him involved. Get him involved. What? But that's where they are. That's where they are. You don't want Durant having to do that for a whole season. You don't want you want, the funny thing about basketball, and with Chris Paul last year, it was a perfect example. Chris, he's like, man, I could play 40 minutes. Okay, we know that, Chris, but do you need to play 40 minutes every game? No. If you have to play 40 minutes, it's a problem here. So when you're looking at this team, is it like, do all those guys got to play high 30 minutes? Or are they going to be confident in this bench to get them to the playoffs with fresh Kevin, fresh Devin, fresh Bradley? Now, if they come in the playoffs fresh and do it, and because we all want to see these heroic Devin Booker going for 40. Oh, it looks great. He's going for 40. Then game 6 against the Nuggets, he's like, man, he's like, yo, the team's been on my back. Now I gotta go get this one to force a game 7. I mean, you want to be able to have these bench guys help you get to that point where come playoff time, your guys can be fresh, and you still need those bench guys. So they're just basically going to play this out to get to the playoffs, hoping that they figured out the roster, hoping they figure out who's going to play, hoping they figure out who plays well with who, and then, make a run at it. And we know who's waiting. Denver's waiting. Golden State's waiting. Lakers are waiting. And you just talked about the Clippers. I'm sorry, man. I saw game 1 here. Kawhi was the best player on the floor, hands down. Wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. He went out there and he just, it was like, wow. If he's healthy and Paul George is healthy and with Russ, I would not be counting them out. The only reason people are is because of the health issue.
Yep.
But if they're full tilt healthy with arguably the best coach in the league, yeah.
I love it. And I thought about them when you were talking about the Suns as a team that made all these moves to win, that has paid all this money to win, coaching changes. It reminded me of the Clippers. Ballmer coming in, new owner, juicing up the roster, juicing up the coaching staff, juicing up the fans, and I
trading
think
away draft picks like it's going out of style, right?
Yeah. So for me, I thought about the Clippers. Zach said he did too, but I thought about the Clippers as well, just because of the similarities with the owner situation. Yeah. So for me, I really thought about that. I want to ask you about Jusuf and you just wrote an article for AZCentral about him, loving playing
Yeah,
with
he's in
these guys,
dreamland right now.
and his quote, "Goddamn," I
Right,
thought
yeah,
was
he's in
really
dreamland.
good.
Yeah, he's feeling
So
good. Yeah.
how do you project his offensive role to be this season? They talk about the passing a lot with this trade. Is that, you think, just out of the short roll? You think he'll be playmaking out of the post for these other guys? Because I can't see that. I see the three having the ball in their hands. So what does Jusuf Nurkic's season look like this year if things go well for him?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily him initiating offense. It's more of when he has it. I mean, he should be one on one. You know what I mean? He should be one on one and be able just to go at somebody. And so, because there shouldn't be nobody in the paint, like there shouldn't be no doubles coming down, anything like that. So you got to be able to, you hoping he don't do one dribble, two dribble, three dribble, four. I hope he's not doing
Right.
that. Hoping something quicker to make a move. But it's like, guys cutting. Can he find those guys? That's why the offense is key. Like they're talking about drags and pin downs. All right, well, it can't be all just screen and roll. You know what I mean? It's got to be him, in the box a little bit. And so, how does he find? Can he find guys? Can he be here and somebody over there, and he be able to see it and get him the ball? Is that one of those like when the defense is shifting because Durant and Booker's on the same side? Okay, can he find the open guy in that situation? Or is it going to be just dump it back out? Like, can he be a playmaker? I mean, part of the reason I keep hearing the pass. Okay, he passed. Okay, well,
So
you probably
playmaking
going
out
to
of the
see some teams.
post.
You probably going to see some teams go. Okay, show me. Then they're going to double to get the ball out of your hand, out of Durant's hand to force it in the Nurkic. Okay, show me you can beat us with playmaking. And the one thing about this team, and I think Nurkic, he's got a chance to really have a big role with the team. But I think the backups, because Nurkic can get in foul trouble, like who are those guys that
Yep.
are you gonna play?
So you were talking about guys that by
know.
Nazi action, I think of someone who's pretty tall, who some Suns fans might want to see.
Bobo, they want to see him play so bad it's ridiculous.
You got me right away, man. So I'm a fan of Bull. I love his style. I think that I've also heard as much about work ethic concerns as I have all the upside. And so for me, I think this is a cool environment for him to go to and play with some of the best. And it's a human thing, right? Like, as I'm a college student. When I go to the library and I'm sitting in there and everybody is in there going, I think to myself, okay, I got to get doing that. Humans, we mirror each other, right? Naturally.
Right,
And so I think it's big for Bull to get around some of these guys with these elite work ethics that have been able to get themselves to the top. Jalen Suggs talked to media about how he was getting up 400 to 600 shots a day. Gil Arenas used to make 1,000 a day. There's different levels to this stuff. And I think that it's great to see Bull with these guys. But I want to point you towards the depth in general, because we talked a little bit earlier about what they were able to pull off with these veteran minimums. Talk a little bit about KBD or even Eubanks, who I really like. I'm a big Josh Okogie is Josh Hart with a different last name agenda guy. I love Okogie. Talk about some of these depth pieces for them. Who do you see playing a big role? Who can you see come playoff time closing a game? Could you see Eubanks closing a game? Is that are we in crazy land? Because
I don't see that.
I think we might not be in crazy land.
I mean, you must really love Eubanks if you're saying he's gonna close games. That sure must be your homie or something.
Not games plural, situationally, maybe singular.
Maybe in there into the last 4 minutes, and Nurkic comes in, something like that.
Listen, Robinson was spectacular for the Knicks this season. There were matchups where Hartenstein was the better play, and so that to me
Hartenstein's better than Eubanks in my opinion.
He is much better than Eubanks. That
there you go.
Not my point.
That's why he's your boy, for real. But that's why he's your boy. He's definitely your boy, because you just brought up a guy who's better than him. So yeah, Eubanks is your boy. No, I like Eubanks. He's athletic. He's active. So I think he will be the backup at that spot. What's interesting, name we haven't said yet is Eric Gordon. And
Probably the
I look
biggest.
at Eric Gordon, and for me, he's the guy that could close games with the other four because he can flat out shoot it. And he's been used to shooting it in clutch situations, playing with high-end players, i.e., Chris Paul and James Harden, Houston. Clippers, he played obviously with Paul George and Russ. So he's used to the ball coming to him, 4 on the shot clock, 6 on the shot clock, got to hoist it up. Deep range. So he's someone that I could see finishing some games off the bench and against particular teams because teams go small. You know, they go small. They want perimeter. They want guys that'll be able to shoot, guys that'll be able to get to the line. They want guys that can do things off the bounce late in games. But I can see Eric Gordon being that guy to close games. But the Bobo situation is this. To me, this is a huge year for Bobo because if he doesn't show up and make a dent with this team, he's going to be on his 4th team in like 6 years. Yeah. Then it's going to become, because he was sort of a novelty with the Nuggets. Then he kind of stabs. Okay, he can play in Orlando. He's solid. I mean, he killed the Suns one time. The Suns went to Orlando and Bobo was double 3. I mean, it was like
he has some games for Orlando.
Man. Okay, he's pretty good. Which you knew he was. His talent is not his problem. And if work ethic is, then he's going to find himself quickly out of sorts with Phoenix because you do have Durant and Booker and Beal who are high end on the work ethic. So that's the examples that you're talking about. Seeing it. Okay, yeah, I got to mirror that. So, but Gordon, Eubanks, I'm interested to see Yuta. He played with Kevin. So how does that work? Does that give him a leg in because you play with one of the guys? McCogie,
my boy Udoka.
I hope he's been working on that 3 ball. I mean, look, he can do all kinds of stuff for your team. Freak athletically, but man, gotta be able to hit shots, man. And teams were just basically daring him to shoot it, and he wasn't hitting them. So I was feeling, I'm watching, I'm like, dude, you're not going to be a factor in this series, And so it was tough for him. I'm hoping he's been working on his 3 ball. So the key is finding the balance. Okay, Vogel, I would go into this would be thinking, who can I find that shoots it well enough from 3, but guards well enough that he's not a liability? Who are those other guys that he can find that can do that? And whoever those guys are will probably play. So they got like 10 guys who hit like 35% or more from 3 last year.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Out of that number, who can defend? Whoever they are, they want to play.
So who do you think can defend? Because for me, the guys that going down this that I can actually see getting playing time and defend on a decent level, because at the end of the day, these guys could be the number 1 offense pretty easily if they wanted to.
Right.
But defensively, you don't need to be a top 5 defense anymore to win a championship. You barely need to even be top 10, but you need to be a top 10 come playoff time. You can be a top 15 in the regular season and be top 5 in the playoffs, and then you win. That's fine. It happens. But with that said, I don't even know if these guys have the talent to be at a top 15 defense for the regular season. So the guys I'd point out that I think can be positive defenders, maybe Nurkic, depending on if he can anchor it long enough, depending on what side of the ball he's focusing on. It's not a guarantee to be positive in my opinion, but Keita Bates-Diop is one, Yuta, Eric Gordon kind of, and then Josh Okogie. That's about it. But like Yuta, Josh Okogie, Nasir Little, are those guys even going to play enough to matter to be that good on defense as a team and a cohesive unit,
Right. Also, Grayson Allen. Like what are they gonna do with him? I mean, he can shoot it.
I
Um,
loved Grayson.
but here's the thing. Like he was on a team that like they needed him. I thought in postseason, and I didn't think he. I was kind of like, where is he? You know what I mean? So I'm wondering what his role could be with this group. I mean, look, if you can shoot it, you're going to get a chance. But if you can guard, can Grayson guard? I'm talking about. I'm not. Let's just case in point. You're playing Denver. You got to check Jamal Murray. I mean, he's tricky with the ball. So you're gonna put Grayson Allen on him? Is that what you're gonna do? I mean, I'm not doing that. Not, especially when Jamal is look like he's getting ready to fall out from exhaustion, and he keeps hitting threes. He looks dead tired, and like there's another one. You're like, wait a minute, dude, look like he's ready to drop. I mean, but he's so tricky with the ball, and it's like, I find it all interesting, with hearing teams talk about what's more stacked, East West, because every team has said it every year, so it's almost like it's just getting stupid. But
Right.
I do look at some of these teams that they're going to have to get through, the Sacramentos of the world, the Clippers of the world. Um, do you want to play OKC in the first round? Do you want to play Minnesota in the first round? I mean, it's just, you're gonna need everybody to get through this. Three guys aren't doing it. I'm sorry, they're just not. As great as they are, three aren't getting it done. So who are those other guys? And again,
Durant learned that.
I think Grayson is the guy that could end up if he defends because he's a bigger guy, and you know, again, that guy in the corner got to make shots wherever that guy is because these defenses are going to say, you know what? Nah, as long as Kevin, Devin, or Bradley isn't shooting, I'm good with these other two. Y'all go ahead. Take the shot. Go ahead. Go see if you can hit a three. I mean, but you know what's funny though? I just wanted to say real quick. I think that those three, let's say they could average. I ask you all. Them playing at
80.
optimum level, how many points combined you think they could average?
80.
Booker, Beal, and Durant.
I was gonna, 80 is.
I mean, if it's 25 apiece, that's 75. Right. You'd imagine they should be able to come up with 5 more between them.
78 to 80 was my first.
78 to 80.
78 was the first number that came to mind.
I think you got to expect 75 to 85, to be honest.
Let's just say between 75 and 80, right? So that would mean that if it's that, then that would mean the rest of the guys would need to score between
40. They're going to need to score 130. 40. Let's be honest.
Yeah, okay, I'm saying if they're defending a little bit, they're gonna have to score probably 35, 40. If it's just a track meet, they're gonna have to score 45, something like that. Do they have 45 points sitting on the bench? They have 45 points among the other guys? Do they have that? Nurkic could probably get you 12, 15 maybe. But outside of that, do they have enough? Or is it going to be, or you're going to see what Denver did, which was great, is they said, you know what, we ain't doubling y'all. No. Christian Brown, go ahead, man. You can't guard Kevin Durant, but you know what? Not helping you. So just force him to do something. Force him to do something crazy. Force him to take a tough shot. Devin, I mean, you know what? Can't guard you, but you know what? KCP, guard him. What teams? See, I keep hearing the whole, what happens if you double? My response to that is, what team is going to say, we don't got to double you? We're going to just guard you, and just see what happens. Like the Clippers. If you put Kawhi, Paul George, and Russ, and you say, you know what? Go guard him, and let's see what happens.
I love it. I love your outlook on this roster. I love the way that you approach looking at this star-studded roster, but also the rest of it. We know Kevin Durant learned very, very recently across the country that super duper stars
Yes.
don't get it done.
Well, he just listen. Kevin is the guy that I look at and I go, I want him taking the last shot on this team. I'm sorry. Devin is the guy, but I want Kevin taking the last shot. Because that's another key. Who takes the last shot for this team? Who is that going to be? Who for
Booker.
me, it's Kevin Durant. For me, it's Kevin Durant.
No, either
Because
it
it's
doesn't matter.
proven.
Either or, whoever's open.
Well, see that
But
whoever opened doesn't always work. See that's what
no, you're right. You're right.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta just take a tough one over somebody.
Right.
You know, because what if Utah's open? And then after the game,
That don't work.
They saying, and Utah misses, and they say, hey, how come one of you three didn't take that shot? Oh, they were guarding me. So what? Get around them, shoot over them, drive by them. That's why you're getting paid max money. Go
You
make it
got it.
happen. So
Let-
the whole idea of the right play, man, sounds great, but if I'm looking at it, I'm like, I want my guys taking the shots. And I don't
I
want a
agree.
guy I'm paying minimum money shooting it over a guy I'm paying $200-something million.
Yeah.
Don't want that. Don't want
A
that.
couple more quick hitters, Duane, and then we'll get you out of here. But I got to
Thank you, sir.
know, were you okay with the DeAndre Ayton return? How would you feel about that? I mean,
I just
you had
think
to be
that
thinking about that for a while
I,
because there's plenty of smoke going around for a while.
right, right, right. Well, DeAndre, the way he put it at his introductory press conference, like they granted my wishes. It makes you think that he basically said, "Yo, I want to be out of here." But I'm kind of looking at that like you would get ready to play with these guys, and now you get ready to play with a rebuild. But look, man, the turnaround is like, okay, is Nazir? Is he gonna play? I mean, you basically
They
traded me
need him
for
to.
Nurkic. I mean, that's basically what you. I mean, that's it. I mean, because Nazir is a good player, but is he going to play?
They need
Keon
his
Johnson may not
defense.
even be on the team, and then
Yeah,
Grayson, might be in and out of the rotation. So you really just traded Aiden for Nurkic. So um, it's a hard one because I think Aiden he needs to be somewhere else. He needs to be able to if Aiden's going to be what he was projected to be, if he's going to end up being the player that people think he's going to be, it wasn't going to happen in Phoenix. It just
correct.
wasn't.
Yeah.
So he needed to go. So as far as that's concerned, he should be happy that he's out of there. But what the Suns got in return, if Nurkic can be the person on the boards they think he can be, and if he can initiate some offense, he can score in the post when it's a mismatch situation, or even when it's not, make the other guys work. If he can be that, and stay healthy, then yeah. But I've been saying all along, if the Suns don't win a championship this year, and they don't win one next year, and they don't win one after that, then it becomes, why'd you make that trade? Because they're going to be like, well, because having lived here and experienced it here, DeAndre was the most polarizing player on the team. It either was they loved him to the hilltops, and everybody and all y'all are wrong about him, about the no motor and everything, or get him out of here because he doesn't play with harder effort. So, I've been saying he's gonna remain the most polarizing player on the team. That's not even on the team because people are viewing him as that important in terms of whether they're going to win a chip or not, even though they got 3 dudes that can get 30 sleepwalking. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's I remember the conversations when Brooklyn put their squad together about where's the depth, the defense, and the rebounding,
Right.
and the response being, it doesn't matter because look at the top 3 guys on the roster. I think the NBA fan base as a whole is past that. I think now
Yes.
there are questions. The superstars
Right.
are assembled, and the question becomes, okay, who's backing you up? Who's
Right.
doing your dirty work?
Right.
I agree with you that the Suns did a good job of going out and surveying the market for what they could on the minimum scale deals. I also think that if you stick a fork in your foot and get it out as cleanly as possible, you did a good job. But
Right.
there was a fork in your foot, like that is, you know,
You're froze.
they had a problem to deal with in
Right.
regards to the depth. And so yeah, they handled it well, but it's like the pitcher who, gets 3 guys on base every time and then makes it out. Okay, he makes it out scoreless, but can we talk about these problems that occur on the way
Right.
there?
Right.
Without the gold cup with the basketball on top, everything becomes hindsight. Everything becomes why.
Right.
I want to
Right.
ask you final question from either of us, and I know it's a tough one. If you had to say this experiment gets looked back on fondly with vitriol for Ishbia, if you had to guess, how does this age with the Phoenix faithful?
Well, I think it has to happen this year. But they have to win a championship this year. Because they're going to have to keep living in this world of minimum dues. See, this is what they say. This is what the selling point has been for the minimum guys. You come here, you play well, you win a championship, and you play a factor. Hey, you can get that next contract. You can get that big contract. That's what they're selling guys on. Okay, yeah, 1 year deal. You got a player op. 2-year deal. If you help us win a championship hey man, you can go get paid. Somebody gonna see you and say, hey, we want him. He helped the Suns win a
They want a
championship.
piece of that pie.
Right. We want him. He helped us. Like when you see some of these contracts that guys are getting, you're like, whoa, like, okay, why you? Oh, you helped them win a title. Okay, now it makes sense. So, or you help them contend. You help them get close or whatever it is. But regardless, that's what they're selling them on. So you're hoping if you're the Suns, you're like, all right, look, if you win a championship this year, there are going to be other guys that eventually we're going to have to bring in on a vet minimum because we're still paying these 3 max dues. So you can tell them, hey, look, remember so-and-so came in? Now look at it. He went to so-and-so and he got his money and he got a ring. You come and help us get a ring, same thing can happen to you. Mid-prime is the word that James Jones seemed to have coined. And when bringing in these mid guys at a certain point in their careers, they're like 4 years, 5 years, 6 years in, and they've been on a couple teams, and then now they're on this team. So yeah, I mean, to me, it has to happen this year because every year it doesn't happen, then it becomes, man, you spent all that money, and you got nothing to show for it. And Kevin Durant is going to be 37, 38, and then you're like, wow. And then you're probably gonna be watching Mikal Bridges putting in work, Cam Johnson setting 3-point records. What if DeAndre is in his prime and he's just eating, he's just averaging 25 and 12? And you're sitting there going, Jesus Christ, those 3 were on this team. Made it to the finals. And now they're out here cooking. And we got all this money we gotta spend on these, and then we got these vet minimum dues, and it's not working. It can look really, really, really good, or in 3 years, we're like, man, they made all those deals. They traded away all
Yeah,
those picks, and they got nothing to show for it. Yeah.
there's the scales right there. And I just listened to that Cam Johnson, JJ Redick podcast, and I fell in love with that guy for his intellect as a basketball.
Highly intelligent young man.
Oh,
No question.
man. I've
Yeah.
never heard him speak for too long, and wow, that guy's a savant, and
Yes, he is.
he
That was
Yes,
awesome.
is a
That clip-
pro. Is a pro. So
Yeah.
for you guys' sake, I hope this works out. I think it's worth it. I truly think
It don't
why
matter
not?
work out for me. Hey, hoping for them. Either way, I'm covering it regardless.
It will make
whether
your
it's
job.
crashes,
Stories to
burns,
write.
or
Hey,
fly
there's
to the moon.
stories to write. Always stories to write. Always stories to tell.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it won't jeopardize your job, that's for sure. But it might make it a little more fun. Speaking
Either
positively
way,
versus negative.
The story's a story, man. Like
Stories are fun.
I mean,
I love it.
I've written stories for teams that won 19 games and teams that won 64 games. Each of them, depending on who's the reader, have value in. Some people, when I wrote stories about the Suns losing 17, 16 games in a row, there was interest because we're like, when's the streak going in? When they won 15, 16, 17 in a row and 64 wins, there was interest. They win a title, there'll be interest. If they don't, there'll be interest. So long as there's interest,
Love it.
doesn't really matter how it goes. But for their sake, to make all these moves, I'm sure. They didn't do all this again to lose. The worst thing again can happen if they do all this stuff and they go to the second round and they lose to either Lakers, Nuggets, Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're gonna lose to the Timberwolves, so it's gonna be all good. They can lose to the Timberwolves.
This guy. All right, listen. I was gonna say Duane reflecting on his storytelling was a perfect place to wrap. Now I'm cutting you off, Zach. That's enough. This is the perfect place to wrap. Duane, from both of us, thank you so much for coming, taking the time, sharing your perspective, sharing your knowledge, and talking to us about this here basketball team.
No problem, man. No problem. Y'all keep doing y'all thing. I'm sure it's going to be high energy, high entertainment, and the NBA season is here. The only thing that we're waiting on is James Harden, and once that
You got it.
happens, then we'll be ready to go.
We
I'm
said
Waiting on
last
sick of
James.
it all. I just
said
need
last
the
week
ball to
waiting on-
bounce
Yep, go
and
ahead.
the balls to drop.
We said last
That's all
week.
I'm waiting on. We waiting on James. What are you gonna do? So once that's over, then you can officially say the season has started. But still got to wait on James.
The
Man.
annual ritual at this
Yes.
point. Duane, thank you so much. We're gonna let you go. Have
All
a
right, guys.
great one and good luck with this upcoming season. We'll be rooting.
All right, y'all. Y'all be easy.